Hello, America. I'm glad you're here. I want you to know, first of all, everything that I say on this program, please do not take my word for it. Please look it up yourself. Look up all of this stuff, but please try to go to the original sources. The progressives have controlled the history books for so long. Read their own words. Read their own diaries. There's plenty of books that the people in the Wilson or the Roosevelt administration wrote themselves. They'll tell you. They'll tell you exactly what happened. I've said to you, must be hundreds of times now, I hope all of this stuff is wrong. I do. If I'm right, you know, things aren't good for me either. I have nothing to gain here. And really, quite honestly, I think I have more to lose, because if I'm wrong, I'll be so wildly discredited, nobody will listen to me. We'll just have to see what happens on the other side. I have nothing to gain, and I have everything to lose. I can't say I have everything, I have nothing to gain. I do. I have a country to pass on to my children, if I'm right. My batting average is pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. When I say things, trouble is coming, it's not just me. It's the Wall Street Journal. I just showed you the chart that shows, you know, how the Dow is mirroring the 1930s. I mean, I could quote to you chapter and verse how we're doing exactly the same thing that Wilson did that led to nightmares, and also FDR, which made it the Great Depression here. But it's also things like the Hindenburg omen. We talked about it on this program, and I know it was talked about on CNBC and other business networks like Fox Business Channel. It's kind of a complex financial thing, but 5 things have to happen for it to trigger, and when it does, there's a 77% chance of a crash within the next 30 days. Well, we've just entered the 30-day period. By the way, the Hindenburg omen has happened twice. Now, have you done anything since we told you that story? Have you changed your lifestyle? Have you done anything? I can tell you this, the global governments, the George Soroses of the world, I just read a story yesterday that billionaires are buying gold by the ton, I think it said. I mean, an actual ton. They've prepared. Have you ever heard the old saying, the rich get richer? Well, why is that? Well, because they have access to information that you don't have, and because they prepare. Well, there's no excuse for you saying you didn't have access to that information anymore. It's available. It's available everywhere, and it's why I tell you, please don't take my word for it. Please. You have to know these things to be true yourself. I don't want you ever to be in an argument and saying, well, well, Glenn Beck said. You know it yourself. Look it up. Do your own homework. The rich know because they have access to the information. They know history. They know the warning signs. And in many ways, some of them are controlling and manipulating it. George Soros comes to mind. I'll show you at the bottom of the hour. What's coming is going to require all of us to be prepared and require action from each of us. And I don't mean like, we got to get out in the streets. I mean, you got to vote. You got to educate yourself, but you also have to prepare to be a help for others. That's why I've been telling you to do the 40-day and 40-night challenge. We have to be the best we can be for the country to survive in hard times. Again, I hope I'm wrong. Good Americans don't panic. Good Americans roll up their sleeves. Americans that are unprepared and want to live in this la-la land where, hey, don't worry, it's not going to be so bad, and if it is, somebody will save me. Well, you're in for a real surprise. Let me just warn you on this. If the things I say are true, they are going to be telling you to go exactly to the wrong place. You don't go where the government tells you to go, because that's usually where all hell breaks loose. I mean, wherever that is, it'll be as safe as, well, I don't know, the Superdome. Remember how safe that was? There were those who prepared and those who got out, those who couldn't get out and were trapped, and then there were those who said, well, somebody will save me. I refuse to be the American on my roof. Please make that commitment to me, to yourself, to your children. Be somebody who gets a boat and helps other people, not somebody on the roof making a sign that says, help us. Because usually the ones who come to help are from the government. And they're not really to help. They're there to help themselves, usually. I want to show you something. They say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Well, I'm so flattered at what the White House is doing now. They aren't using a chalkboard. This is a totally different idea. This is a whiteboard. And they're using it to make their point here on the Bush tax cuts. Okay, this is Austin Goolby. He's the president's chair on the Council of Economic Advisors. Watch what he says.
What I wanted to do today is just break it down real simple so you can understand exactly what the debate is about.
Okay. Come on, Homer. He's going to break it down. Now, you might think that you had a decent grasp on the concept of tax cuts and tax increases, but maybe not. Listen.
What I've done here is we got a ruler and measured out the size of the tax cut, is how big the circle is, by your income, which is listed at the top, from low incomes up to people who make more than $1 million a year.
Okay. So what he's done here is he's taken out a little ruler, and I didn't take out a little ruler, but I think you get the idea. These are the things that George Bush did. These are the tax cuts. And so George Bush did this. If you made $10,000, you got a tax cut. I don't know how you got a tax cut, because if you're making $10,000, you don't pay taxes. So what George Bush did is he took some of the money. That's almost like a progressive thing to do for a Republican. That's strange. He took some of the money here, and he gave some of the redistribution of wealth. He gave money to people who didn't pay taxes. Okay, so these are the tax cuts that George Bush gave everybody. All right, just so you understand that. And the concept of people making over $1 million having a bigger circle than those making $10,000, they pay $100,000. These pay nothing. But you notice they have a circle. I mean, he's almost lost me here, but I think I may be able to keep up. Go ahead, Austin.
Obama would preserve a couple $1,000s a year tax cuts for virtually all Americans, and even for people who make a lot, they get to keep the tax cut on the first $250,000 of their income.
Wow! Oh, wow! They're living pretty, aren't they? That's so generous. Austin, really, the concept to be able to keep your money that you've worked hard and earned and not have the government just come in and take it? Oh, my gosh. You have such a big heart. Doesn't he? Now, remember, he's changed the conversation. Obama will preserve these tax cuts. That's really interesting. What is he saying? Obama's not going to take the money from you. Because remember, they're flipping this around. We're not talking about tax cuts. We're talking about tax increases. Don't look at these as what you're going to get. That's what are they going to take? You already have this money. You've got it. He's going to preserve these tax cuts. So, in other words, you're not going to feel some tax cuts here, but you're going to start feeling tax cuts over here at 200. I know he's not going to break his promise, so I'm sure it's not 200, but $250,000. But that's the kind of big heart they have. They're going to let you keep some of the money. But wait, there's even more.
Under the Republican plan, however, people making more than $1 million a year, they're going to be getting a tax cut of more than $100,000.
No.
That's expensive.
No. They're not going to get a tax cut. 10 years ago, they got the tax cut. 10 years ago. It's not a tax cut they're going to get. They're going to have a tax hike. Got it? See, this is where I like to break it down. Austin, may I squeeze in here? And anybody who else is, any of the Marxist-minded officials in the administration, so maybe you can understand it. It's not a tax cut of $100,000. The GOP plan is that, again, nobody would increase taxes by another $100,000. Now, what do these evil people that make $1 million a year, what do? Well, they certainly don't start businesses. No. They certainly don't hire people. No. They have a monocle and a cigar, and they sit and they take baths in their money. That's what they do. They don't need to take a bath with that money. I want to work for this guy, because this is the guy who's creating jobs. You get it? When you take more money than you're taking now, that's called a tax increase. When you're not paying $100,000 a year, but you will next year, that's a tax increase, not a tax cut. Which means that what the GOP is proposing isn't expensive at all. Because he just said that was expensive, but it's not expensive because it's exactly the same rate as it is now. So how could it be costing you money to do that? Because, wait a minute, I think I have it. It's costing you money because they want to borrow more money next year. Now, if you don't want to borrow more money next year, what do you do in your life? That's what you do, but that's not logical. That's just what you people do. Okay? So, the tax cuts that they've had for the last decade would be preserved. Yours, theirs, everybody. They wouldn't be taking more money. Okay, go ahead, back to Austin.
Giving these big red eggs to the very high-income people would cost $700 billion that we would have to borrow to give it.
Why would you borrow money? Here, just don't take it. See, you're not giving it, you're just not taking it. I don't understand. This mindset's really frustrating for simpletons like me. Austin, the money Americans earn is not yours. It's not the government's money. You don't take it and then have to borrow money to give it back. What are you talking about? You're proposing taking more money from them. That's what it is. Let me show you something. Forget the little bubble thing. Here's what it is. The GOP plan, or really the Tea Party plan here, because it's less GOP. Remember, GOP is, anyway. Here's the government. As long as the government has a little ball and chain on it, when you make money, digging ditches or whatever it is you do, they don't take more money. So you keep the money you've earned. It's crazy. Here's Obama's plan. You with the shovel, but wait, where's your money? Oh, the big fat government guy just took it from you because he's giving it to somebody else. Yeah, maybe a union guy or something like that. What this is they take more of your money to spend it on the people that they like. Not you keeping your money and spending it on what you like. Let me tell you a story. My son, when he was, 2, we had some friends over, and one of the friends' name was Justin. And Rafe loved the Star Wars lightsaber. And so he took the lightsaber and he's like, it's mine. And my wife and I, Tanya, we'd have to interview and say, no, Rafe, you don't take it. That's not yours. It's Justin's. Well, it took a while to repeat that, because he was 3. Rafe learned the lesson, and it's an important concept, that what other people have is not yours. It's theirs. It'd be helpful if somebody in Washington could learn that. These aren't your toys, Austin. These aren't your toys, President Obama. This isn't your money. We'll finish this lesson. I hope I haven't lost you. Pretty complex. When we come back.